Alrighty then. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rick the Rasslin Dad and His Boys, a.k.a. RRDHB. It is Wednesday evening, and you know what that means. It's time to run them in a butcher and then change it into a barbed wire.
I think those are the same moves.
That could be a whole podcast of just different names for the same move all around the United States.
That is true. Speaking of which, we did have this debate the other night with Mr. Tervel Delognev on the podcast, Drew, while you were not here. Do you call it a hold or a move?
Well, technically a hold is a verb, so it technically would be moving, but a hold is like that's an action like this. A move could be it's more general. I also love, with that being said, I love everyone who calls it a hold. Like if you call, I get him in like a half hold. I'm like, well, you're not really holding anything, but
Yeah,
continue.
sure you are. It's called a half.
Oh my!
It's not a hold, but I do love that people. I remember I was in Belize listening to this conversation and I loved it, and I was taking a nap.
Well, even though he now needs no introduction, the man sitting next to me is my co-host, Mr. SGD, Drew Ethertone, and the man sitting next to him, or adjacent, if you will, is none other than the body, Jeff Rutledge. I believe that's Irish?
Irish it is, yes. Irish
Well.
and a little bit of German.
Irish.
Oh. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Guten Tag.
Okay, yeah.
You started Irish, and then you went German.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I've got an accent while speaking German.
It's a little bit of both. All right, Jeffrey David Rutledge.
Jeffrey Dahmer Rutledge.
What are we going to be talking about tonight on the cast?
Hey, we're talking fairness. Is a level playing field, is that something that we should care about? I'm looking forward to where this goes. I don't really know where we're going with
Well,
it.
it's going to be something. Tell you that right now.
It's going to be something.
But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we had Rick's rants last week, and the body wants a little bit of time for himself at the start of this podcast because he's got something he's got to get off of his chest.
I do, and it's been bogging me down.
And we're gonna go with what rhymes with the body and also is a synonym for the word rant.
Yeah, I was thinking of that right before. I know. The only thing we can think of is the hottie body. That does not describe a rant at all. It doesn't. But
My wife is the only one that.
How about this? The body's
that
bias.
ooh,
It is time for the body's bias.
That's good.
I
I
like
like
it.
it. I like it.
with Jeffrey David
We
Rutledge.
skipped over our sponsor. Do
Oh,
you
we
wanna
did
go?
skip over the sponsor.
sorry about that, guys.
Jeez,
Yeah,
man.
you know,
We're
okay.
losing sponsorships
Yeah.
left and right.
Yes, I know. We can't do that if we want to keep up.
These guys are going to cut our pay in half.
I know, if we want to keep the money coming in. So our sponsor for today, CNC Produce Onions. We have some yellow onions here. If CNC, some of the finest, freshest onions that are produced.
Yep.
And
Produce.
whether you need to score some points with your future wife on your wedding day, and you got to cry when you see her walk down the aisle, grab one of these
Alright.
puppies and just
That's
sniff
sincere,
it up, put
man.
it right in your,
Now
put it right
we're-
in there. The girls in the crowd will think it's the cutest thing, and
Hey.
your wife will love it.
Big
So-
time crier on his
Yeah.
wedding
Yeah,
day. I was
oh,
right
man.
behind him. Terrell's whispering me
Wow.
in his ear, like, is he crying? Is he really crying? Did you have an onion?
That
Yeah.
was.
You
I had an
did
onion
you have
in
a
my
CNC?
pocket. I had a fresh pack onion in my pocket.
Yeah, cool.
Had a CNC, and yeah, that's obviously why
And it
started.
worked.
I started uncontrollably sobbing when my wife was walking
Yeah.
down the aisle. For
That's
those
how
of
good.
you who for those of you who are following on iTunes or your favorite podcast app and are listening and not watching this podcast, these gentlemen are pointing at me. I was the crier, Keenan McCurdy, on my wedding day. I'll admit it. You know why? Because I care.
And because he has a great batch of CNC Produce Onions. Pick them up probably only in Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right, what do you got for us on the
Well,
body?
actually, after the body's bias rant,
Yes.
if you comment down below, first comment that we like
oh,
is going to win
yep.
some Blink Tears.
Uh-oh, we've already got a comment.
It's
have to like it.
It has to be.
Oh, okay.
It's
we gotta
not
wait.
about the body's bias. So if you
Okay.
want these
Okay.
let me introduce the Blink Tears. There's 6 of them left from when I got LASIK surgery last year. So artificial eye drops. You'll win 6 of them. The best comment for the body's bias.
Are you going to be
All right.
mailing
I'll
that?
mail them. I
Okay,
will
ship
mail
them out. Okay, good.
Probably
Well
in an
done.
envelope, so it's the cheapest way possible.
Alrighty, good deal. Well, with that, we're going to turn it over to JDR for the body's bias. Let's go.
All right.
What you got for us?
One of the most important things of this podcast is the integrity of what is verbally spoken into these microphones.
It's true.
So I want to just be very clear. I this weekend was going back through past episodes on my Podcoin account. For anyone that does not know what Podcoin is, you get to listen to podcasts and earn gift cards.
Yep.
If you listen to 3,980 days worth of podcast listening, you may receive a $2 Starbucks gift card. So I highly recommend it. And just so happens that Rick the Rasslin Dad is currently a premium podcast on that app.
So you actually get bonus, so about cuts it in half.
Bonus podcast.
So
you get bonus points.
Therefore, if you listen to all of the Rick the Rasslin Dad podcasts up until this point, you will probably earn yourself about 5 or 6 cents to Starbucks coffee. So highly recommended.
Interesting. Let me pose a question to you, fine gentlemen.
All right.
Would you rather? Do you guys listen to podcasts like before even Rick
the time.
Yeah, you listen
All the time.
You're
Absolutely.
I listen to them a lot.
avid podcast listeners.
Avid.
Now, let's suppose that you enjoy listening to podcasts, like you just said that you do. Would you rather listen to those podcasts and get nothing for listening to those podcasts? Or would you rather listen to those podcasts and eventually get, after a while, maybe a long while, a free coffee?
Hey, guys.
Which out of those two scenarios sounds better to you?
A free half a cup of coffee.
Guys, but here's where it goes wrong for me is I find myself being on my iPad and my phone all day, not even listening to the podcast when I'm doing something else, but I keep playing them
Just
so that
for
I can get 2 cents. And
Yes.
it actually takes up time in my day. So it might not be a good thing for me because I have one of those personalities that I like free things and I'm very cheap.
Big into free stuff.
I will literally waste time to save 2 cents right now.
I have enjoyed it. I actually erased my, what's just the generic one that you get on your phone? The
Apple Podcast.
Apple Podcast.
Yep.
Which is the best one, which you should give us a 5-star rating.
Yes, you should.
Rick the Rasslin
Don't
Dad.
delete it from your phone. But I went to Podcoin and I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. But it was just the presentation because you were like, oh, guys, I got this Podcoin. Sign up for my account. I'll get 200 points.
Which I did.
He
This
also
is so
got,
great.
He also
Yeah.
got
So
more points
what
for
we
us
will
right
do is Keenan will put his Podcoin
now.
account
Whoa, bro.
number.
I'm
Yeah.
doing it too.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I think it needs to be
Well,
him.
here's the deal. You can only refer a maximum of 4 people. I'm already booked up.
Luckily,
then it
we
means-
have
it means-
5 people listening to this podcast. So
Excellent.
Put
Excellent.
mine,
Okay.
put mine up there.
So let me get into my rant here. So I'm going back. Last week on Rick's rants, he kind of came at me sideways, and
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, he claimed that I'm a Penn State fan over a Buckeye fan, which is absolutely not true. One of the Ohio State coaches actually commented me. Riley Ross, a strength and conditioning coach, said, "You better be a Buckeye fan," and I told him that I am as much of a Buckeye
Well,
fan
your
as I
feelings
can be.
would prove otherwise.
So anyway, went back, listened to the episode. It's a great episode, guys. Episode 4, we talked about the greatest American wrestler, and then we talked about the X Factor. One of my favorite episodes. We got heated. I started screaming. Drew at one point said we should fight, and I wanted to, but Keenan kind of backed down a little bit. But there was a segment during that piece in which Keenan over here talked about a situation that occurred in the second match in Jordan Burroughs versus Kyle Dake, and he was basically saying, as we were discussing the X Factor and how Jordan Burroughs for some reason has some type of an advantage over Kyle Dake, and what he claimed to his argument was that there was a controversial call on the edge of the mat in which they could have very well given Kyle Dake 2 points. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay. So I went back and I looked at the actual match after I reheard this podcast. and it was controversial. They actually initially gave 2 points to Kyle Dake, and they overturned it and gave it to Jordan Burroughs. Okay, so that sets the stage. Let me bring you back to episode 4. We're going to 49 minutes and 31 seconds. I'm going to put this little audio on the microphone and let you listen to our conversation.
Could have been 2. That could have been called 2. In an alternate universe, Kyle Dake beats Jordan Burroughs in that best 2-on-3 series.
Is there time left on the clock?
No, there literally was not. There literally was no time left on the clock. And they challenged it and match over. And
now, I would like for you to zoom into that screenshot if you are able and read off the amount of seconds that are currently left on the clock.
all I see is it says second period and then a 0 next to it.
Okay, it says 0, 2, 3. That means how much time
23
is
seconds left on the clock.
So let's suppose it's 5-3. Let's suppose they give a 2-point takedown to Kyle Dake.
Okay.
The score becomes 5-5. Am I correct?
Correct.
Kyle Dake is now winning the match.
Correct.
It's amazing. Now, but it seems like you were almost guaranteeing the fact that Jordan Burroughs would not be able to score in 23 seconds. Do you feel that comfortable now?
Well, guess what? The match right before this, which would probably be the best evidence toward, the best predictor of events, the match that literally took place not even an hour before this, Kyle Dake was ahead by 2 points with very little time left on the clock, and he won.
Okay, I know you're not great at math. If it's 5-3 and Kyle Dake scores 2, what's the score?
I'm talking about the previous match.
He got him.
I know, but what you said is he was up by 2.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
All Jordan Burroughs needs is a push out.
Truth be told, I don't know what he was up by in the first match, but I do remember. Actually, I'm pretty sure first match Burroughs did tie it up, and Dake won on criteria.
Okay, I could give you that because I can't go back and look right now.
Yes.
But Will you listen to what you said again?
Okay,
what did you say?
I was wrong on the time. I was wrong on the time. I can admit
headgear
that.
of shame.
I can admit that.
Hold on, wait.
Integrity
take that off.
is important
take the
when
screenshot
discussing
off.
items. Don't make up facts.
Put them on him yet. Take the screenshot off. We need the viewers to see this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me transition over here.
Here we go.
All right.
And present.
So you got me on misquoting the amount of time that was left in a match.
Well,
yes.
I will say there is a
Congrats.
pretty big difference between 23 seconds and 0 seconds.
When you're talking with Jordan Burroughs,
Okay,
who literally did that to Isaiah Martinez. Thank you.
Yeah, but Kyle Dake's not Isaiah Martinez, is he?
Last time I checked, they were not.
Yeah, not the identical person.
But also,
I will go ahead and comment below whether if you're Kyle Dake, do you feel comfortable with a not even a lead? It's a what would you call that type of a lead?
The point in this whole argument is whether or not Kyle Dake could have gotten calls, or that outside of the wrestling, that there would be extenuating circumstances that could have allowed Kyle Dake to win the match outside of the wrestling.
Yeah,
I still maintain the same point. I still say that there would
But
be.
it vastly changes after you said you're very confident that if this little way the match, we were talking about if, ands, or buts, and you were like saying, oh, but this could have happened.
Well, yeah, I'm not even saying that I for sure know that should have been that should have been 2 for Dake.
Right.
I'm not even saying that.
You said that.
I'm just saying, could the match have gone Dake's way? Yeah, absolutely, it could have. Even if you don't even change the wrestling at all.
But it solidifies it if there's 0 seconds on the clock compared to 23 seconds. And when you were arguing, you were very adamant that this was in fact zero time.
Yes. Does that
change?
Does that give Burroughs a better shot to win the match? Yes, it does. But does that really nullify my argument? No, it doesn't. My argument is that again, I'll say it again. that Kyle Dake could have won that match even if it was wrestled the exact same way.
I know, but my initial argument was you cannot speak in if, ands, or buts because that you can do that all day long with wrestling.
Heck yeah, you can speak in ifs, ands, or buts.
If my aunt had a...
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Gee, mini Christmas.
If you can't speak in ifs, ands, or buts, then we might as well not do a podcast.
All right, and that's it.
Wrap
Last
it
episode.
up.
Rick Rasslin
See
Dad
you
His
later.
Boys. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate the following.
I just wanted to show you that sometimes the facts that you are stating with much confidence after you've twisted the argument to best suit you does not always hold or ring true. You have to give. We have to have.
You're a great
facts.
spin guy, Keenan. You
we gotta
couldn't
have
spin
facts.
this one out.
I was off
okay.
on my facts.
Thank
I'll
you.
admit that.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. That's why you have the headgear of shame.
I was off on my facts, as many people are when they are trying to remember an event that they were at.
Very few.
Look up The Power of Suggestibility by Elizabeth Loftus.
Okay.
I was wrong on the facts, as many people oftentimes are when they witness an event.
Which is why eyewitness testimony should not be used in court.
Well, it's a whole other podcast. But the spirit of my art, it's still that one little fact that I misrepresented or that I was wrong on.
Misrepresented.
Does not change.
Okay.
That still doesn't change my opinion at all. That does not make me feel like you were right in that.
Well, either way, I feel very strongly both ways, gentlemen. I think we should move on to the next topic.
Like I
right.
said,
the headgear of
integrity
shame
is
has
what's
been given
important.
out.
Is it time for Rick's rants now? Is
Yep,
that what it
Rick's
is?
rants.
Oh, wow, we're going,
Well,
okay.
So we had the obviously couldn't have a more apt name for the body's bias because he's just biased as all get out.
Because I literally stated a fact.
Oh
I
my
gotcha.
gosh.
Fact checked you.
Oh my gosh. All right. So here's Rick's rant for the evening. I was listening to one of our podcasts that I enjoy that I've got on my Podcoin subscriptions. Flow Wrestling, Flow Radio Live, FRL. Can you give other podcasts in the same line of podcasting credit while you're on?
Hey.
Cool. Why not?
It's okay.
So, Nomad, if you're out there and you're listening, many of you know who he is. If you're a listener of FRL, he said something that I thought was a rather unwell thought out. Is that a word? Unwell thought out statement. That's not a word, I don't think.
I would go with a not very
well thought out statement. And he was talking about the idea of creating a level playing field, and he said that he believes that it doesn't exist. And so why do we care so much about it? Basically, what he was saying was, why do we care so much about it if it doesn't exist? And, he is using some examples that the same teams are going to always have the best resources. Penn State, Ohio State, Iowa, Oklahoma State, they're always going to have the best coaches, and therefore they're going to get the best recruits, they're always going to have the best resources, the most money. And so why should we care so much about trying to, quote unquote, level the playing field? Well, here's my point of contention. That is the exact reason why we should try to level the playing field. Sports are fun and enjoyable because of fairness. You're not going to go out there and say, hey, you know what? Steroids, everybody. Because, now, there are some people that try to make that argument, but obviously we know that it's unhealthy for your body, and it creates unfairness in sport because not everybody has access to steroids, and also different people can get them from different doctors in different ways, and it's dangerous. But you can't just say, hey, we shouldn't try to have a level playing field, or we shouldn't care about having a level playing field, because at some point in time, everybody wants to compete in a fair competition.
But what's a level playing field? Elaborate on what a level playing field is, because I don't think steroids necessarily fits into what I'm thinking of what you might mean as a level playing field. Like, yeah, of course, steroids, because it's very bad for your body, and it gives you a performance-enhancing drugs, just give you a big
advantage.
a big advantage, and it also hurts you. Where I think they said there was a study, they asked a bunch of Olympic athletes. They said, if you could take a drug that would ensure you win a gold medal, but it kills you in, I think they said 5 or 10 years, something like that, would you take it? And the majority of them said yes.
Tervel spoke of that when he was on our podcast. That literally, when you're in that moment, you are disillusioned. That like you would do anything to attain the goal.
Yeah.
And that was, I thought it was
And so
very interesting.
that's
the
why
guy
I
that
think
lived it.
steroids might be different.
Well,
But what do you mean by a level playing
maybe
field?
steroids isn't a good example to illustrate the point, because steroids are obviously bad or harmful for you, so it makes sense as to why we would have rules against them. But what about age levels in competition? Why not let 18-year-olds play against middle schoolers? Why have rules? Why have rules at all around, what should help make a competition more fair?
Well, I mean, I think the reason they have age groups is because of the development of bodies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's unfair.
Yeah, but at a certain point that levels off, which is then usually where you get rid of the age thing. Like if you're 45 and you can still win.
Well, then they have age levels
you can
the
win-
opposite direction.
Yeah, but you can still win the worlds. Then you can still wrestle in the worlds.
Yeah,
but if you're
they're not going to let a 28-year-old compete in the senior world championships against 60-year-olds.
But no one cares about the scene. It's like the
But that's the
Cornhusker
same.
State
But that's
Games.
the same thing that you're saying. Like you do get to a point to where then
but-
it starts going obviously
But no
yes,
one
there's
cares.
but there's an optimal age level for fairness within this realm.
Well, they
and
say,
then we
isn't
don't
it,
let-
isn't it, when can you go to the Olympics and wrestle? 16?
I don't
15?
know.
You could probably go as young as 15, 14. I mean, there's 14-year-old Olympians, probably 13-year-old Olympians.
And that's fine, but we're not going to let a 25-year-old compete against a 16-year-old in the cadet world championships.
Okay, but that again, I think it takes it to a certain point. But then, okay, I get maybe saying we don't need U20. Is there U like 23s?
U23, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so U23 is the highest. I get why you could get rid of that. Sure, I mean, granted, they're still not as developed as when you're in your prime, which is like 29, 30, when you're in your male athletic prime. But
Well, it's kind of nice because it was what used to be a university world championship,
Yeah,
so it's
okay,
kind of
so
cool to
that's
have
where it
like
comes.
a collegiate.
when you go to
university world
college, it's like, well,
Scholastic,
you're in college, so you're representing your school, and you usually only go to college for these certain years where technically they don't have an age limit in college. If you go on your Mormon mission, you could be 27 wrestling at the NCAA championships, something like that. It's just when you start your D1, it's when you start it, then your clock runs. It doesn't matter if you started when you're 30, as long as you didn't do anything else before that. So NCAAs is just because it's college, but then, I mean, you could make a statement that U23s shouldn't be a thing, but it's a university thing, so you can keep it, get rid of it. That one doesn't bother me, but like U20s and under, it's like you're not fully developed yet. You're not to where now you can
And so
see
why
who the
would it
best
be-
is.
so
you can
why
see who the
would-
best is that's not fully developed yet.
So why would it be bad to have those kids that
Those
aren't
kids
fully...
could compete in the world championships.
Well-
I mean, Kyle Snyder won it at 19, 18. Senior Cejudo won Olympic gold at 18.
But
So it's like those guys could
but
compete.
why
at the highest level.
but why do most of the kids not? Why do most of the kids compete in the age level world championships? Obviously, Kyle Snyder's the exception. Obviously, Henry Cejudo's the exception.
Well,
but
they're not as good, and they can't make that team, but they can still go represent their
And
country
why aren't they-
and wrestle in a tougher competition against kids their age.
and why aren't they as good as the older guys?
Well, they're just not developed as much. I mean, they could be, and I do think there's
So
a
it's-
shift to where our younger guys are getting better younger than they used to.
So, in other words,
Because like,
it's,
remember when Tion Ware
so-
won it as a true freshman? That was like very rare.
so they're not as developed as the older guys, and so therefore, in other words, it's not fair to expect them to have their only competition be against the older guys. It feels way more fair to have them compete against other people their own age. Correct?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I
Yes,
would
the
use
answer
word
is
fair,
yes. But what is your contention? Okay, I think we need to move on from this. Okay, age group thing. What is your biggest contention? Is yes, we should try to make level playing fields.
Yeah, my biggest contention is people say, "Oh, trying to level the playing field is stupid," but everybody believes in fairness. Everybody wants fairness. Everybody wants themselves to compete in something that is fair. And we kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago where we talked about if somebody's cheating at cards, it's like, well, I'm not even going to play because why would I play a game of poker? Yeah, same as steroids. It's so everybody wants to say like, oh well, you have the haves and the have-nots, and some people are going to be, have more money in their club. The reason this argument got brought up on the FRL podcast because they were talking about RTC, and maybe we'll get into this here in a little bit, but in the idea that some coaches are against kind of the RTC model right now because they believe that it sort of creates it makes it harder to create a level playing field because some coaches have a lot more money. Or some programs have a lot more money than others, and they can very easily gain and fundraise a lot more money. Now, this is where I'm on the other side of the argument. I don't think that is a good reason. I don't think that because at the end of the day, there still, I think, is a level playing field within that to where if a program did its diligence, it could, in theory. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't have a harder time raising money, but it could, in theory. It is possible for it to raise as much money as Penn State or Ohio State, even if it's. I mean, it's possible. If
you think Lock Haven could raise as much money as Penn State,
if they got Cale Sanderson as their coach,
no.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They don't have the supporters that Penn State has.
Penn State was garbage before Cale got there. Not garbage, but Cale brought the money to Penn State. Now, I mean, I
do get the RTC thing as like you're not gonna have like Chattanooga getting a lot of good guys to their RTC if they had one.
Well, again, that's where I'm
like
smaller
D1 schools because one, there's just not enough guys who want to compete after college to where you can do that.
Again, that's where I'm like, hey,
and it's good for recruiting. I think the RTCs are the biggest for recruiting, which helps the NCAA team because it's like if you can go work out with David Taylor and I mean Ed Ruth probably not. I mean whoever like Zane Rutherford, you can work out with all these guys. It's like that's a recruit. It's like yeah, if I get to work out with him for
and that's tenure, a big part. That's part of the contention.
Huge. Well, I do get where that is like. I still don't. I do get where there's a lot of people upset about that, but I still don't think. I don't think as a coach someone should use that as an excuse and really just kind of focus on taking that away from people as opposed to just make yours better. I think a lot of people want to go outward and just make things easier for me as opposed to just get better.
No, I mean, that's fine, but I still my point of contention with the fact that I think the RTCs are a good thing, and I don't think that the RTC is widening the disparity between good and bad teams. I don't know. Maybe it is a little bit, but I don't think that it's any different than the same problem that the bad teams had going against themselves against the good teams in the first place before the RTCs were a thing. If Chattanooga decided they wanted to spend $5 million a year to get Cale Sanderson as a university, if they said, hey...
They don't have the money to do that.
Well, as a university... Well, but there are universities that do. There are universities that are not good at wrestling that do have the money to do it. The biggest one would be Stanford.
But that was my point, though, is that a Lock Haven doesn't have the funds or the resources to bring a coach like Cale Sanderson to the university.
Okay, so maybe you have a point there, but the thing about that is so I guess and that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier does the RTC exacerbate the problem more than what the issue that Lock Haven had before? I
can get on board with that.
But Stanford does have the money, absolutely. They've got more money than any university in the freaking country, is my understanding, based upon Malcolm Gladwell's podcast. And if they wanted to drop $5 million on a coach a year, they could. They don't. So it probably sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here because I just don't simply believe that the RTCs really unlevel. So what's the they unlevel the playing field.
I'm confused on where's your contention?
Where's
the contention?
So my point of contention is this: people say and this is what I believe Nomad was saying on their podcast, and I think there's a lot of people behind this because this feels like the American dream in many ways, but people say we shouldn't work so hard to create a level playing field and to create fairness because it's not even a real thing. It doesn't exist anyway.
No.
Now I'll get behind the idea that yes, I will give you the fact that yes, the playing field typically by and large is not level in most areas of sport and in life. I absolutely believe that. But that's exactly why I believe we should work to try as best as we can to create a certain level of fairness and a standard of, that's the best way to say it, fairness that allows all teams to at least, compete and be in the same.
But how can we, what should we do that they're not doing now? Because you're going to find that it's the same case in every sporting event, in almost everything in life. It's the exact same way. 80% of the money comes from 20% of the people. It's the 80-20. It's called the Pareto distribution. Shout out to JP on that one, Jordan Peterson. That it affects the cities. The 80% of the population of a country comes from 20% of either the area or the cities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be there. It's in the height of trees. It's in almost everything there is.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see it in money. You'll see it in whatever it is. You're gonna see that 20% produces 80% of product, or whatever it is, not production.
Yeah.
But 80% of what would be if you're working, 20% of your employees make 80% of your revenue.
Yeah.
And so I think no matter what, that's what you're going to have that. And over time, I bet you look at almost any sport, and whether it's Nebraska, the NCAAs, in the, international soccer, whatever it is, 80% of the results will come from 20% of the people who enter, the participants. So I just think it's just impossible. It won't happen, and it will never work out that way because there just are some people who will not work that hard. There are people who just don't want to do that. They don't want to put in all that extra time. And you could build an Edinburgh from nothing if you put in the time, and you can have a program like that who at times has been in the top 5 from nothing.
Yeah.
Because they put in the time, but then you also are going to have your programs that are never going to get there because they just don't do what it takes, or they just don't care enough.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm with you on the kind of the 80-20 thing. I mean, that makes sense to me. I get that, but that's exactly why we have rules in play. The thing that I'm kind of warring against right now, it would seem to me like Nomad and maybe people who agree with him would say, you know what? Take away the 9.9 scholarship. Take away the 9.9 scholarship cap for wrestling, for NCAA wrestling. Now, if we want to have a discussion about whether or not 9.9 is the right figure, we can discuss that. And if we feel like we need to raise it some, I can get behind that because football and obviously, never mind. Don't even. But we need to have a scholarship cap so that Penn State can't just have all their guys on scholarship, every single guy on their team on scholarship, and Lock Haven has one guy on scholarship.
Well, if they could raise the money, then it's only going to enable more people to get scholarships. Because it's not like Lock Haven's still not going to get money to give out those 10 scholarships. It's not a zero-sum game. There can be excess, and I think that's what a lot of people think. If someone's doing well, that means they took something from somebody else, and that's just not the case. If Penn State could raise the money for 25 scholarships, that doesn't mean Lock Haven couldn't get 12 scholarships because from their 9.9 it is right now. And has Penn State have more of an advantage? Sure, but it doesn't mean that people at Lock Haven aren't even better off because technically they are. There's more people on scholarship there. It's just if they can raise the money, if there's less.
Well, and that's why I'm fine with maybe we have a discussion about raising the cap. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's maybe each team should be allotted.
That gets more people in wrestling, and that gets then more ex-college wrestlers, which then that feeds into the youth programs, that feeds into high schools, which then just makes wrestling better everywhere.
But what I'm saying is folks that are saying, oh, level playing field, that's so stupid to worry about. Why are we worrying about that? I would assume those folks would say, eliminate the scholarship cap altogether. Because it should be,
I think that's what Drew's saying, correct?
I mean, I guess I haven't thought about it enough to just say, yes, eliminate this scholarship cap.
If you're saying Penn State should be able to have 24.
If they can raise the money, and that
yeah.
doesn't mean that Chattanooga all of a sudden has one scholarship. Chattanooga will still have their 10 scholarships. Now there's just 14 more guys or 15 more guys on Penn State that have scholarships. That means more guys are getting in wrestling. And
the only reason first of all, I don't know that we necessarily have evidence to believe that would happen. That the tiny schools would, because
how would it get taken though? How would Chattanooga all of a sudden lose money or lose scholarships just because Penn State has more? It's not a zero-sum game.
Well, because what makes sense to me is the fact that if Penn State has unlimited funds, Ohio State has unlimited funds, Iowa has unlimited funds, the best wrestlers in the country are going to become more concentrated than they already are. They already are really concentrated at the good schools. They're going to become even more concentrated at the good schools. You're going to have 50 guys on scholarship or whatever it is. I don't know, 30 to 50 guys on scholarship.
It's a big room.
Yeah, whatever.
That's a big wrestling room.
But that's the thing is they would build bigger wrestling rooms. They'd make wrestling rooms with 10 mats.
But that's not true because you're not going to get, okay, let's just say Penn State's not going to sign the top 20 guys because then none of them are going to start. There's still only 10 spots.
They're all going to believe they can start. They're all going to believe they can win that spot if they're the top guy in the country.
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
I'm with Drew on that.
I don't think so.
I mean,
you already have guys doing it now. I believe and I have no evidence to back this up, but I have this is great opinion by me. Spencer Lee would be at Penn State if Nick Sirianno had transferred earlier.
That's not what Spencer Lee would say. But.
No, of course not, because he's at Iowa and now he has to dislike Penn State. But that is a rumor I did not even hear and I made up in my head. But it seems like that would fit better. Spencer Lee looks like he would fit at Penn State better than he probably does at Iowa. And so, but he didn't go there because Nick Sirianno was there. And it's like, whether he can beat him or not, he's like, they invested in him. They invested in Nick Sirianno. And Iowa's investing in me. So it's like, I'm not going there.
But part of the reason they invested in Nick Sirianno and then didn't, maybe, I don't know what Penn State offered Spencer Lee. But my guess is since they had Nick Sirianno, it probably wasn't a full ride.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. But imagine if do
you still think Spencer Lee would go there? Because it's not like you can't get good training in Iowa.
It would for sure at least...
You're not going to get the top three guys at every weight go to one school.
It would for sure at least... Well, okay... But you're saying Spencer Lee went to Iowa, which is another top tier school. So, okay, yeah, but
it's not Penn State.
But I'm making the argument that it's gonna.
I believe he probably would have gone to Penn State. The reason he did not is because Nick Sirianno was already there.
The question is would guys like? Now this is a bad example because Princeton is a great school, and so there's other reasons why guys go there. Even Northwestern, but would Pat Glory or Sebastian Rivera go to Northwestern or Princeton if Iowa, Okie State, Penn State, and, we're all offering them a full ride scholarship?
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know what they're offering them. Well, I'm guessing that at Princeton, they're probably getting a
Pat Glory turned down
anyways.
Well,
it's not like they didn't
that's
have
why
options.
Princeton is a bad example because in those schools are bad examples because they're excellent academic schools, so there's other motivation to go there.
But you can't deny the fact that if a school has a blue chip recruit and Pat Glory wanted to go to Iowa, but man, Spencer Lee's there, he's gonna go somewhere where he can start. I think that just makes more sense.
Yes,
these blue chip guys are not gonna stick around for 4 or 5 years sitting behind somebody else, right?
Well,
and there would be more transfers.
I think there would be more transfers.
There would definitely be more transfers. I'm on board with that.
But I think that would happen just right away. I think you'd see 1 year of transfers, and people would kind of get the thing of it. It's like, oh, well, everyone's transferring because maybe you can't actually go in and beat Spencer Lee right now.
So if you've got a full ride to Penn State or Ohio State or Iowa or Okie State, and you've got a full ride offer to Chattanooga, where are you going?
Who's in front of you?
I mean,
if you're at Bo Nichols' weight and he's one grade above you, do you want a red shirt and sit out 4 years?
I mean, there is
because you probably know you're not going to beat Bo
But there
Nichols.
are plenty of...
And if you go and try and he just thromps you every day in practice, you're going to transfer.
There are plenty of... I do think, I will say this, I do think it would cause more transfers. But there's plenty of evidence, guys, for blue chip recruits I mean, Penn State is going through this right now. So is Ohio State. So, I mean,
Penn State has a lot of transfers out. I mean, they just lost...
And so but I'm just saying, I still think you go unlimited scholarships, if you go unlimited scholarships, you get the big board guys, the top 100 recruits in the country are going to go, I mean, and it's already the way it is anyways. That's my thing. That's what I'm saying. It's going to make it worse.
I don't think so.
It's going to make it worse. Now, not only are you going to be getting...
No, I think you're going to be getting... and then just ease up on the transfer rules.
What if Max was offered a full ride to Ohio State? Is that not going to give him a little bit more pause for thought, and instead of looking at other schools that are going to be giving him 60 or 80%?
Eventually he's going to get a full ride wherever he goes if he does ROTC. So I don't think that's... I think we will see the case where he's going to probably have a full ride wherever he goes, and through that other aid, and we'll get to find out, because I'm pretty sure that's the way it would go.
What?
Once everyone finds out that he's going to do ROTC, the scholarship just covers what ROTC doesn't, and ROTC is going to cover a ton.
But that's not really what we're talking about here.
Okay, but it is, because Max will have a full ride wherever he wants to go.
He's not. The problem is he's not 100% certain on that yet at this
Probably not, but I think it probably in his mind, at least that's the way it would probably work out. I don't even know if he's spoken with Ohio State totally yet about that. I don't think he hasn't visited there. So I think you'll find out a situation like that.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, wouldn't Max give... I'm not saying I know what Max would do. Max Mayfield, shout out. If any of you are wondering who we're talking about.
He's on the Flow Big Board.
If you're wondering who we're talking about. Number 90 on the Flow Big Board, Lincoln East High Spartan, Max Mayfield. Two-time state champion, Fargo All-American. And we know this guy, so we're going to talk about him on our podcast. Sorry, Max, but we love you. And so... You can't tell me that's the point that I'm trying to make is take ROTC out of this. If Max is getting, let's say, hypothetically speaking, he's getting, 70% to, Wyoming. Let's say he's getting 100% to wherever. Let's say now all of a sudden Ohio, and currently Ohio State's going to offer him 30%. Well, let's say now Ohio State has that money for him. They're going to now offer him 100%. Is that not gonna influence his decision?
Well, yes, absolutely it influences your decision. Is it guarantee the fact that he's going to go there? Absolutely not. He's also a very intelligent person, and he sees,
it doesn't guarantee the fact.
Alex Marinelli is at the weight that I want to be at, and I'm probably not going to beat that guy. So I'm going to go to a different weight or a different school.
All we're talking about is law of probability right now. We're talking about what is going to push the envelope. What are guys going to start to be more likely to do? Now, I'm not saying that our guy Max, maybe that's a bad example because we know him. We know he is thoughtful about those kinds of things. But the point that I'm trying to make is that it will influence guys toward thinking about, oh, okay, Iowa's offering me 100% now. Oh, I'm not going to go to Wyoming. I'm going to go to Iowa now. Even though I've got two-time All-American at my weight, I'll hopefully. I mean, we already see this where guys are like, hey, it'll work out. I'll either beat him or I'll find a slot on the team. I mean, look at Iowa right now. They've got Spencer Lee, Gavin Teasdale, Austin DeSanto.
I think that's against your argument right now. Because what you're saying is, I think it's more value for any team to offer Max a full ride scholarship right now says a lot more than somebody offering a full ride scholarship if they have unlimited scholarships. I think a lot of recruits take value in their worth or how much they are wanted. And when you say, hey, we're going to give you a full ride, that means a lot more when there's only 9.9 full rides available as opposed to 24 full rides available. So because there's already a problem within the major universities of shuffling guys in the lineup, I think that's against your argument that not allowing or just keep taking away that cap wouldn't change much of anything.
And it's not like it's football. Like in football, they have 55 full rides, but they get to play. Like they're subs. Like even if you're a backup, you're gonna play every game. You're gonna play a lot every game probably, and you're gonna get your chance to throw your hat in the ring. And if you want to you can get looked at. A lot of backups get drafted if there's someone really good in front of them. So. And you can sit out. You don't have to be the guy for 3 years. You can still be a backup, like Trent Richardson, who won the Heisman, I believe. And he was a backup until his senior year. He was behind Mark Ingram.
So let's tying things up a little bit, if we can do that. Are we at that point?
Let's put a bow on it.
Your contentions was Nomad's kind of reckless use of words. I don't believe that Nomad thinks, hey, there is no level playing field, therefore we should allow steroids, whatever advantage that you can get, go find it, and let's have no age divisions. I don't think Nomad meant that at all. Now, in the words it does. I mean, you interpret it that way because that is a level playing field is age divisions, weight classes, right?
Yep.
So, I think if we asked Nomad straight up, do you believe that there should only be one weight class in wrestling? I think he said, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There should be a level playing field. And I think what you're saying is you agree that there is an overreaching of trying to make everything leveling. You're in favor of the RTCs.
Yep.
So you don't believe that there should be restrictions on resources and funds of the bigger schools. So...
Well, I don't think that there's an overreaching of trying to make things level. I think that I actually think for the most part, like, don't get me wrong, there's problems with the NCAA for sure. But I think for the most part, the NCAA it does a good job of trying to have rules in place to create a level playing field. I'm with you. That's what I'm trying to point out is Nomad and a lot of people that throw around some of these phrases like, well, level playing field is not even a real thing, so who really even gives a care? That's like what I'm trying to point out is like, hey, you actually do want fairness, so don't say stupid stuff like that because we all want fairness. And let's admit that, and then we can have a conversation about what is the proper amount of fairness and how do we execute on that.
Would you agree that coaches who work really hard can gain an advantage within their program?
Definitely.
Okay. And you don't want to restrict that?
I don't want to restrict how hard a coach can work. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to restrict regional training centers or the 9.9 scholarships. The ability for coaches to work really hard and to build a program up from like Edinburgh or one of those
to an extent,
universities.
I want to restrict it. To an extent, I want to restrict it because again, I don't want unlimited scholarships. If you're an amazing fundraiser, and that is part of the issue here that we're talking about with the RTCs, is some people are upset because, Nittany Lion Wrestling Club has $10 million.
But you are acknowledging that Nittany Lion Wrestling Club still has an advantage over all the other schools right now.
Yes, I am.
And you're okay with that?
Yes, I am. Yeah. I think that, I'll agree with the fact that a level playing field doesn't exist in reality. I agree with that. And I will admit that we're never going to make the playing field perfectly level, and I don't think that we need to, but I definitely think that we need to think about it and try to make it in many ways as level as possible and fair as possible.
So you're on the side that we, as a team, should not be able to go to that North Dakota tournament?
Because
we got invited. Lincoln East High School got invited, and no other Lincoln schools got invited. So LPS only said we could go to it 1 year because it's unfair to the other Lincoln schools who were not invited to that national tournament.
Could they have gotten invited?
What do you mean? Well, they didn't.
But could they have?
You can raise money. You can start an RTC.
Yeah.
And if you had unlimited scholarships, you could get 25 scholarships if you raised the money. If you put in the time, you could figure that out.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying is like I am kind of okay with the RTCs because it's something that's separate from the NCAA a little bit. Now, I think if people are abusing and cheating the NCAA rules, then I'm not for that. If they're using the RTC to cheat the NCAA rules, obviously I'm against that. But that is what's nice thing about the RTC is it allows coaches to do some extra things, that support their program, but it still keeps them within NCAA regulations for the most part, as far as I know. But yeah, so every school has the opportunity to start an RTC if they want. Great. So that's part of the reason why I think that it's not super unfair.
I think it's important that you acknowledge, though, the fact that it's much easier for Ohio State to start an RTC than a Campbell University with the resources that they're given, with the population of high school wrestlers that are around. That there is an advantage for Ohio State to have an RTC over a Campbell, over Missouri.
But that's going to be the same no matter where you go, what sport, whatever it is. The University of Texas has an advantage over the University of Nebraska in football because Nebraska high school football is not even 5% as good as Texas high school football.
Yeah.
And so they're right in their backyard. So it's just not going to be fair. Nothing like that's going to be fair.
See, and I
if you're in Pennsylvania, you have way more opportunity to go to one of these great schools and to train with them in the off season. Where if you grow up in Maine, you're going to have a lot harder time finding those great college, RTC youth programs to go to find better training partners. It's gonna be a lot harder than if you grow up in Pennsylvania or in Ohio or in Michigan or wherever it is.
And again, I agree with all that. I agree with everything both of you guys just said. I do acknowledge Ohio State and Penn State and a lot of these universities are probably going to have an advantage regardless of what we do. But my point is I don't think that means that we just throw all rules out the window.
Well, we have rules.
Still need, and then that's what I'm advocating and I think, yes, I think the RTC, maybe it does give a little bit more of an advantage to some of the teams that already have an advantage.
But they have an advantage. Lock Haven has a massive advantage over Fresno State, maybe.
Yeah.
But then Fresno State has a massive advantage over Wyoming.
No,
even though Wyoming's better.
Yeah, and I agree with that. We can't ever eliminate all advantages.
A level playing field doesn't actually exist.
It doesn't.
And
no,
it can't,
it doesn't.
And it shouldn't.
It doesn't, but that's not my point of contention. I agree the level playing field doesn't exist. My point of contention is that we should still try to call it what you want. Fairness, call it a level playing field, call it whatever the heck you want. We need to have rules in place that help teams that aren't as good to compete with the teams that are better than them. We wouldn't have... everybody operates on this premise. The NFL draft operates on this premise.
Which is dumb.
You wouldn't... it's only dumb because it doesn't work. It's not dumb because
the idea of a draft is stupid.
Yeah,
in my opinion. But it's only an American thing. Nobody else does it, and I think it's so dumb.
But even the English Premier League operates on an idea of trying to create somewhat of a level playing field. If you win, you advance into the next league. If you lose, you go down.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? It's because we want the games to be more fair.
Yeah. Well, we want the games to be more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, yes.
What
makes them interesting?
The best should wrestle the best.
Yes, and what makes that interesting is
competitiveness.
Is competitiveness. And to make things competitive, you make them fair.
And I actually think the unlimited scholarship thing can potentially help a lot of those other schools because they're not giving full ride scholarships where... I don't know, does every D1 team get the full 9.9?
Not if their school can't fund it.
Yeah, if their school can't fund it. And so I'm guessing some of those schools can't fund it. I don't know if that's true or not. But if you had more, if you could just raise more money, I think people would put more effort into raising money into those things if there wasn't a cap.
Yeah.
But here's what we can agree on before we move on.
Yeah.
This is, I think, what we can all agree on is the fact that you're not for. Let's just hypothetically say you're for eliminating the scholarship cap. You're not for eliminating the scholarship cap because you want more disparity between the good teams and the bad teams.
Yeah.
You're not for eliminating the scholarship cap because you just want to see Penn State, Ohio State, Iowa, and Oklahoma State you just want to see a 4-man round robin in NCAAs. That's not why you're for it. You're for it because you think it would be good for all, correct?
Yes.
Right? And that's what I'm driving at is we want to create rules or do away with rules that we think,
Hinder wrestling?
yeah, hinder wrestling, hinder teams, hinder universities.
Yes. Yeah. Then we're all on the same page,
Yeah.
100%.
All right, kumbaya hug.
But
Let's all do this thing.
the thing that irritates me is when rules are put into place that limit teams from being able to maximize their potential. Like, we have this conversation with our wrestlers one of the very first days that not every single one of you is going to be a state champion, and that's okay. But what we want to see, success to us, is you being the best you that you can possibly be. The best wrestler, the best, student, the best brother and son, and we want to see you maximize your potential, whatever that may be. And there are so many rules that I feel like are put into place for the sake of leveling the playing field that cuffs certain individuals, certain teams from being able to be the best that they can possibly be. And I'm kind of on the fence. I totally get the idea that not, capping it would definitely, there would be more disparity than there already is. But there already is a significant amount of disparity. How much more? I don't think very significant. But it is, in a sense, it is cuffing Penn State, Ohio State, Oklahoma State from being the very best that they possibly can be. And that doesn't sit well with me. I hate limiting somebody's potential. And I think that's what the whole conversation with the RTC thing right now is. So many people are calling foul because it's not fair. But if we don't have these RTCs, I mean, it's proven these last few years, the regional training centers have made a huge difference in our international results. We went from, 10th in the world to the best team in the world. Our younger guys are developing at a way higher rate because they have access to the RTCs. They have access to great practice partners, college practice partners, elite coaching from a very young age. I mean, RTCs have changed and furthered wrestling, and it's scary. It really is scary to think that potentially could all go away because people are saying, well, it's not fair. My program can't do the same thing.
Yeah, I think the tough question to ask is, and I don't know, I'm not saying I have the answer to this question, but is providing unlimited potential for Ohio State and Penn State and the top 5 schools, is providing unlimited potential for those folks potentially limiting some of the bottom schools' potential? Is that not necessarily mutually exclusive? I don't know.
I would really hope those coaches don't think that.
And I don't know.
It's a terrible attitude to have as a coach.
Whether or not the coaches think
the reason my team is bad is because of them.
Whether or not
what they're doing.
Whether or not the coaches think it and it being an actual reality, that's two different things. The coaches might not think of it. That doesn't mean it's not a reality.
But
yeah, as a coach, you're never gonna.
The fact that we have seen teams that have been nothing and become something. It's like even Campbell. Campbell's gotten so much better just because of Kerry Colott.
Yeah,
get a better coach.
What's interesting is Kerry Colott is the last person that I would think be against this RTC, and he is. He is very much hard work. He is one of the leaders in take the RTCs away.
Colott's one of the leaders in take the RTC away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Drew, great point with Kerry Colott, but guess what? Campbell University, unless maybe they go and get Kale, which maybe they could, even then, I don't know that they'll ever win a national championship.
No, they probably won't, just because who in that town cares? No one.
That's a great point.
North Carolina has like 13 D1 wrestling programs or something.
So are you
11.
saying that Campbell has a disadvantage?
Grow the sport in your hometown. Guess where people do care about wrestling? Iowa City. And in Happy Valley.
Go be the coach at Iowa City.
And
then.
in Columbus. People care about wrestling there. That's why it matters. That's why...
Why do you think Kale went from Iowa State to Penn State?
Yeah. People care.
Exactly.
It makes it better because it's like, oh...
Because it gave him an advantage.
Yeah, so get people to care. Grow the sport at home. Like, you suck. Maybe no one comes to your duels because you can change that in some way.
But what you're saying
you can
is...
generate excitement. I mean, like...
Maybe
I
to
think
an extent...
you always have to just look internally and be like, what am I doing wrong that can change it?
Maybe to an extent, but the idea or the thought process that Kerry Colott is just going to, through hard work, make Campbell national champions, that's just silly.
Okay, probably not, but what he needs to do, what he could do is... If no one in that community is rallying around him, like, you can't do it yourself. You got to have people around you. If the people
they don't have as many people at Station College Kale can get around him. I mean, it's not big enough.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. It's an advantage. That is exactly why Kale went to Penn State. He knew he was going to be able to monopolize Penn State or Pennsylvania the way that he's doing. That's just the reality.
It's where the best high school wrestling is, and it's where people care the most. Guess who the people who view Rick the Rasslin Dad videos the most? It was like 60-some% were from Pennsylvania. Out of all the millions of views that we had on Facebook, I looked at the analytics, most of it was Pennsylvania. I don't know about the podcast, but the videos that we came out with right away, most of it's Pennsylvania. And why?
Shout out to our
care.
Pennsylvania peeps.
Yeah,
Let's
Pennsylvania, that's what's up.
But
Caleb,
so
right.
I
Caleb
feel
Cole,
like...
Pine Richland.
Pine Richland.
Pine Richland.
I feel
my
like
favorite
you
Pennsylvania
were
team.
agreeing
Me too.
with me. I feel like you were agreeing with me,
Yes.
and you're not. Is that right?
Why are you looking at me like that?
I think he eventually said yes, that
We got it.
there's an advantage.
Well, of course,
it's
but
just we're all in agreement
being
that
better
at
is an advantage. Working hard is an advantage. Building something's an advantage. Like, you can go to it. It's the reason why you go to a program that's bad and you have a good coach and it turns it around and people care and people get excited. Look at Omaha Scud and just look what's happened with that. That's good coaching. It's not because there's anything special about Omaha Scud. It's not about where Omaha Scud was located. It was the coaches that turned that program from starting the program and having 0 state qualifiers to state champs within 2 years.
Well, shout out to Brad Hildebrandt.
Brad Hildebrandt.
Brad Hildebrandt.
All right.
Beast.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fairness
I feel
doesn't
like
exist.
Drew is trying to kind of go back and forth.
I feel like I need
I don't
I feel like I need
Yeah.
a hand raise.
Yep.
I feel like I get a hand raise.
Yeah.
Well,
How am I going back and forth?
you're trying to say that you're essentially...
No, there are advantages.
What you spent the last
But
10
being
minutes...
a good coach is an advantage. Having a good coach is
What
an
you
advantage.
spent the last 10 minutes trying to say is that, like, that all advantages are within your control. That's essentially what you've spent the last...
No. But you can definitely change your circumstances.
Yes. Agreed.
Like if you think like, well, I can't be good, I can't win here because of this. It's like, oh yeah, you probably can't.
No. Okay.
If you exacerbate if you come up with every idea and you get people around you and you come up with all these ideas, okay, how can we get more students? Let's start with the students. Okay, maybe we like what Kent State did. Let's try to do a wrestling practice outside. Come up with ideas. Get more students there. More students, you get more money. You get more money. Maybe you get more scholarships. Then you can get more people. Then when the recruits come in, there's actually an atmosphere here.
We get.
But the question is
goes-
do you think it's possible
Guys,
to do...
we have got to move on.
But we're going to move on after I beat
After
him.
I
after I
win,
beat
right
him
here.
here.
You
guys
The question
are
is do
just
you...
saying the same thing over and over
No,
again.
yeah, but the question is, do you think it's possible to do everything right? To do
not
everything
win?
right and not win?
Yeah, well, yeah. Only one person wins.
Okay, there we go.
Okay,
Sweet,
let's
I
move
win.
on. Okay, Twitter. So we had some questions from Twitter, not directed at us, but I thought they were kind of fun, so I threw them on here.
Good.
And then maybe
Dude, you
maybe
could-
They
you
were
could do a
directed
would
at
you
us?
rather.
You can just fake say people ask questions.
Yeah. Or
you said they
and no one
weren't
knows.
directed.
Cliff Fretwell. You guys know Cliff Fretwell?
Oh, yeah, old Fretwell.
The guy's a beast. I love,
got a cool
love his
accent.
energy. All right, so his question: at what age should you stop carrying your headgear on your singlet strap? You guys remember doing that
Never.
back in the
Dude.
day?
I'm still doing it.
It's so cool.
Can I? Where's my single strap?
No, you
at?
don't have a little.
I
You don't have a little thing.
Can't buckle it.
Yeah, he can't buckle it. You have no chin strap.
I think it was
How-
mostly a fad.
how
and so
late-
then now it's just not a thing. But once you get to high school,
Not at all.
I think the little
Not at
guys
all.
still.
I
Some
think
of the
high
little
school,
kids
yeah.
still do
I think
it.
high school. That's where you end that.
No, it's got to be before that. Kids start like being conscious about how cool they are.
Hey, let's
Depends
see
on
if
how
we can get our
nerdy you
whole
are.
team doing it next year.
No doubt.
That would be.
I'm
It
gonna say-
stretches the single.
I'm gonna say third grade is where you stop.
Oh, okay. What's Tristan Moran got for
Tag
us?
old Fred Cliffwell.
Tristan Moran, Wisconsin 141 pounder. His Twitter handle at BeanMachine4. So go on there and
He's a
give
stud.
Adam a little comment. He says they're having a debate in the Badger wrestling community, which is Wisconsin's wrestling room. The fight is taking place on land. Okay, we've got a full-grown gorilla.
Silverback.
No, it didn't say that.
Okay.
Full-grown gorilla versus a full-grown crocodile. Who would win?
It's not even close. On land?
Yeah,
Gorilla.
on land.
Crocodile.
Really?
I could beat a crocodile on land.
Well,
You can like hold their mouths shut.
but you got to.
Yeah,
get
but
them
you think a
shut
gorilla?
first.
You think a gorilla knows that?
We'll probably figure it out.
Yeah, I would actually.
I think you
agree
could lose
as
a
well.
foot and still. Kill
I think
it.
that's a very clear answer. But I
Grr.
thought we would throw it in there. Hey, why don't we comment on YouTube? Throw your answer up there. Whether you think
Yeah,
it would be a gorilla
whoever
or
has the
crocodile.
first one wins the blink
Ooh,
tears.
there we go.
Oh,
First comment here.
Blink tears.
Yeah.
So.
All So
yeah,
we're gonna end this podcast. I think it's a great way to conclude.
Yeah.
Is Keenan's got a great would you rather's. He busts them out on road trips at wrestling tournaments. When we're waiting for weigh-ins, and they're usually pretty entertaining. So I'm gonna let them go.
Okay. So you're putting me on the spot here. So let's keep it somewhat wrestling oriented. Would you rather have to, at the end of a 15-pound weight cut, so you just you
Now
cut?
with this weight cut.
Well,
stuff.
I'm not condoning it. I'm saying
You
that
obviously
It's a would you
You
rather.
very
It's a would you rather.
it's a would you rather.
For the record, we encourage our kids to do it the right way
All right.
and not
Okay.
to
Quit being so
dehydrate.
PC,
Okay.
bro.
At the end of a 15-pound weight cut, you have to do a 6-minute hand fight with Tervel. Or you have to eat 15 pounds worth of food and do a 20-minute hand fight with Tervel.
Either
What?
way, I'm just laying on the ground and he's just face
No,
smashing me.
he picks you back up and
And I fall back down.
he picks you back up. So it's either basically you're super dehydrated and sucked down and you got a hand fight
What you're
Tervel.
asking is,
Actually,
I do
let's
6
just say
minutes.
both. Let's say both 6-minute hand fight. Both 6-minute hand fight. You're either 15-pound cut or you eat 15 pounds.
See, I feel like if I throw up,
And
he's
you
not
and then
gonna
you have
wanna
to
touch me.
and then you have to do a 6-minute hand fight with Tervel afterwards.
I'd eat and then throw up.
I
And
would
then he
not.
wouldn't wanna touch me.
Do you know how much 15 pounds worth of food is?
Yeah, I throw up and he doesn't want to touch me.
You have to hold it in.
No, I'd be like this. I'd throw up and
You have to hold
like
it in.
That, like,
Is
and
that
then
even
it'd get
possible
on
to
me.
No.
eat and drink? I think it is. Eat and drink 15 pounds. If
No.
you're
No, it's not.
What's 15 pounds? A gallon and a half of water?
Yeah, you can't do that.
No way.
Well, okay, let's say you have all day to do it. You start in the morning, you can pee, but by the time your hand fight is at 5 p.m.
I've already answered.
I answer opposite. I'll do it dehydrated.
You'll go dehydrated?
Hey, you know what? It's like, oh, good, my tummy's full. Now this is gonna be fun. No, it's gonna suck either way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's gonna suck either way. The question is which one would suck worse.
But if you poop
Yeah.
yourself and throw up,
I would
he doesn't
go.
wanna
I would.
touch you.
I don't. See, here's the thing, dude. When you're full and you just like you've eaten a ton, dude. A
the
hand fight, a
worst.
6-minute hand fight after
The
that.
worst.
Again, you poop
But dude,
and throw up.
a
and
15-pound cut. Now we have to establish the timeline and how long you cut. We'll say you have Monday.
I'm
you
good.
start cutting on Monday.
I stick
You
with my
you
answer.
hand fight on Friday.
I stick with my
I'm
answer.
sticking with
as
my
well.
answer.
Wow.
It's getting hot.
Jaden Luna,
I'm gonna go
Team
with
Agogi,
full feed.
winner.
Of the blink tears,
Blink tears.
Team
Jaden,
Agogi.
you
See?
should.
I got you right here, Team Agogi.
You should comment your address down below. If you live in Hawaii, I'm probably not going to send it to
Well,
you.
he wrestles for Team Agogi, so
He said different club.
Different club of Agogi.
Different team Agogi.
Oh,
That's
no
cool.
kidding. All right,
I
cool.
wonder where that's at.
Cool.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure. You are all gentlemen, gentlewomen, and scholars, and there are
Thanks.
very few of us left.
Thank you, CNC Produce.
Yep. Thanks, CNC. Couldn't do without you.